roughly on time.
Don't know. 3 minutes late.
Yeah, that's still tolerance.
Yeah.
Exactly, Nathan.
I mean, the question is, do we want to start at exactly 7, or could we start earlier, because then we'd be on average on time? But if we have... Okay, yeah, enough about that. We've got some stuff to talk about. So, welcome everyone. It's the first call for 2014. Yeah, 2013 was pretty cool. Yeah, Sylvain tells me I need to start broadcasting. I already have. But I think... Can someone please post the video link to IRC while I'm talking? Okay, yeah, so 2014, lots of stuff going on, but we're not going to discuss all of that. I'm just going to go through the agenda as it is right now, because it's also kind of... It's in a decent order, actually, because FOSDEM comes first, and that's also very soon. So how about we talk about that first? Okay, so FOSDEM, for everyone who doesn't know, is in pretty much 2 weeks' time. It's the 1st and 2nd of February, an open source conference in Brussels. Entry is free, so if you're in Central Europe and you have time, no reason not to come. Obviously, hotels will probably be booked out by now, but you can always, I don't know, sleep on someone's living room floor or something. There will be a software-defined radio track at FOSDEM, which was Phil's idea, and then we sort of implemented it. And I'm really proud actually of this track, because it's the first time we've ever done this, and Sylvain, Phil, and I we put it together without any delay, so we didn't have to move any deadlines, which is mainly due to all the contributors and speakers who are coming. So I'd like to thank all of these guys. Yeah, okay, so Tom, you put the FOSDEM thing in there. Is there something specific you want to discuss regarding GNU Radio?
Nothing specific. I just wanted to make sure, seeing how it's the next kind of big GNU Radio event thing happening, I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew about it, that we were all up to speed on what it is, where it is, what's happening, and just to see if there was anybody out there or on the call who had some final thoughts, concerns, just really anything. I just wanted to throw it open to make sure everybody was on board with it.
Okay, fair enough. So we have what's it? A couple of talks. So most of them are GNU Radio, but there's a couple of others. There's some Iris. Sylvain will talk about Osmocom. So first and foremost, I'd like to use FOSDEM as an opportunity to get all these people together. Yeah. So if you're coming to FOSDEM, do check us out. There'll be time for open hacking at the end. We didn't put any speakers there. Right. Does anyone have any questions in IRC or in chat?
I guess not.
No? Okay.
No? That's great.
So, right. I mean, you also put in the merchandise, and the reason I have my camera on today is because I'm wearing the very first GNU Radio sweater ever made.
Sweet.
So I'm actually gonna...
Looking good.
Yeah, so you can see it from it has the GNU Radio logo on the back, and the icon on the front, it's one of these, it's a zip-up thingy. Rip. And
Very on. Stop there.
I'm sorry?
Stop there.
No worries. I didn't click the what's it called, the Peggy 18 button.
It's not chat roulette.
No.
Mark,
so
you spend time on chat roulette?
No. God, no.
All right.
Yeah. So all the these so we'll be having some of these at FOSDEM, and we'll be figuring out ways to sell them to everyone in the near future. Okay.
Great.
Cool. So let's talk some code. Yeah, we have some upcoming releases. Jonathan, can you say something about that?
Sure. It's sort of up in the air whether we're going to go straight to a 373 or have a bug fix release before then. There's nothing really pushing a specific release date or having a particular feature in 373. If there's something that people feel strongly about. Otherwise, we're just going to wait until the work that's in progress right now completes.
Okay.
Yep. To mention a little bit about what the work in progress is, it seems to be, I'm looking at the release, the issues that we have outstanding for it, mostly related to Volk issues, and specifically Volk issues on ARM processors, hardflow ARM processors. So Nathan and I have talked, and we need to talk more about trying to fix this. It looks like a memory corruption is happening somehow, and we're not entirely sure. Not entirely sure what's going on. We thought we could test some stuff, but it looks like that test is going to cause way too much hassle, maybe more than it's worth. So we might have to rethink some of our approaches. I will let you know. So there is issue 546 on Volk, malloc, and free. I do have that, I believe, working. I want to test that on a bunch of machines when I get home this weekend, just so I make sure that I'm actually doing the right thing in all cases. But so far it seems pretty good and pretty stable. But basically what this means is that Volk itself will come with a way to allocate aligned buffers or aligned vectors to use with Volk. That seemed to be a missing feature to me for a while. So I think we have that working now. And hopefully we can actually make use of that in the QA test that we're trying to rework, and that might actually give us a little bit of a leg up on the issues that we might be running into there. Big time issue, this QA code in Volk. We really do need to solve it, and we are at work on it. So hopefully the next release, 373, when these are finished, we will have a much more stable version of Volk for ARM processors, and we can continue developing from there.
Cool.
What's the timeline for any of these?
Well, so the malloc, the Volk malloc release issue that I put on there, that should be, like I said, I'm going to test it when I get home on a bunch of different machines to verify its cross-platform capabilities. So that should be soon. The QA code issues, these Volk test bugs that we're seeing, it's like as soon as humanly possible.
Yeah.
But it does seem to be a lot of work. So and I am traveling quite a bit the next couple of weeks. So, unless magic happens, it might be. It's still probably a couple of weeks away.
Yeah, you can ask Putin about that.
Yeah, there you go. So we're talking like 3-4 weeks probably until the next release.
Possibly, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
But so we probably will have a bug release between now and then. But we'll see. That's a little bit up to Jonathan's schedule.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was more going for, I want to get the OS X audio stuff really working, and that seems like a nice one, not just a bug fix, but a release fix.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, so if I have a month to do it, I think I can fit it in there.
Okay.
So just to make sure, there's no issues outside of ARM, right? We only see these on platforms.
Yes.
Yeah, there was a report of it in a virtual machine on x86, I think, but because it's a virtual machine, who knows what's going on there.
Yeah. And there have been, in looking into these QA issues, I was able to find some other bugs that we were seeing, that various reports on like AMD processors and other VMs that have quite possibly been fixed because of that. Now it's a matter of waiting for people to use it on varying platforms to come back with reports of fixes, or just not reports of breaking. So, but the issues we're looking at are very particular to the ARM with hard float, the hard float ABI, and not soft float for whatever reason.
Cool. So, anything else on upcoming releases?
Nope. I think those are the that's the short-term 373 progress report.
Cool. So these releases will be mainly stabilizing, more stable.
Yeah. Well, we have a couple of things in progress that may or may not make it in. One of the things also I wanted to ask you about was GRUHD changes. Anything you might need. The 362 UHD and new products. We're going to want to get that in there.
Yeah. I started looking at that, but I mean GRUHD is pretty slim. Doesn't really do much outside of wrapping the multi-use IP object, so probably no major changes. But I'll have to test it with a
Well, my
with some-
understanding is that X300 support might need some changes, but we can discuss that elsewhere if you want.
Yeah, no. Thing is, I can't really tell you right now because I don't have one here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that'll be something I'll just have to check out.
Yeah. Also, it would be helpful if we could coordinate getting Sean Nolan's feature set reworked by Nick and get that into 373 for the tag stream support.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the hope. And we have a conversation about that later today for us to try to figure out where we are.
Okay, so the next topic on the agenda is ATSC. So I'm not even entirely sure what the status is on. Does it actually work?
That's why I put it on here. Yeah, Jonathan, go ahead. You have a little bit more.
Yeah, so there's been a huge amount of work on this in the last couple of months that has resulted in code that probably runs 3 to 4 times as fast as it used to in the past. It's not quite real time, except perhaps on very high-end machines, but it's much, much closer to where it was even 6 months ago. So I'd hope to get this into 373. It's probably not stable enough to do that. One of the questions that Tom and I have is, do we go ahead and completely break the API compatibility in this component as part of 3.7, since it's a complete rework that changes almost everything. It's unlikely that there's anybody who's actually using the old code, so it really wouldn't break anybody's code, but it's sort of against what we've always done. So we're trying to figure out, do we do it that way, or does this really have to be like a GRATSC2 and deprecate the old one?
Well, this is a good time, I guess, then to request if anybody knows anything, if you're using GRATSC or if you're using blocks inside GRATSC for your own purposes. Whoever listens to these calls, if you have any knowledge of that, we would like to know. It's one of the downsides of where we sit with this project is there's lots of stuff in there and we don't necessarily know who uses what at any given time. But it would be nice to be able to, with a clean conscience, just replace GRATSC with this new version that works with all the latest 3.7 goodness, and that we have a chance of actually updating and reworking for real time without having to kind of have this ugly GRATSC2 deprecation model that Jonathan was talking about.
I think ATSC does have a bit of a special standing in GNU Radio because it's been in there for so long. I mean, it's more of like NOAA and Pager, for example. They're also specific applications, and they're going away. So ATSC would be the last actual application we have in there, right?
Yeah, and that's a good, interesting point to bring up, and something that we have been thinking about. Basically, new applications are not going into GNU Radio. GNU Radio is designed as the development platform, and that's kind of all it it is and wants to be. So why would we carry around specific applications inside of it? And then there's an argument that I can make to that, saying, well, it would be nice when you get GNU Radio that you have at least a couple of things that you can do with it, kind of right out of the box. And at least in the U.S., ATSC is a pretty easy one to do, because these are pretty strong signals that are broadcast, pretty much all over the country. You should be able to find like at least one station to make use of, and so that's kind of one of its main reasons for sticking around, is that it's kind of an application space that we can just distribute with GNU Radio without having people to go, okay, now that you have GNU Radio, now go out and clone, git clone GRATSC from GitHub or something. Having said that, it still might find its way out as its own separate project at some point anyways, just for the kind of purity of the GNU Radio code.
We had this idea of putting up torrents for signals. Like an ATC signal would be really nice, because in Europe we don't have ATC, and yeah.
Yes, and actually, if you go, let me see if I can remember I think it's just GNU Radio. Before I say anything, yes, if you just go to GNURadio.org/data, there actually is it's a 430 megabyte ATSC reference signal.
Oh, right.
So we do source some signals already, but yeah, we still haven't made that leap to making them torrents for a little bit more bandwidth efficient downloads.
It would be useful to find a volunteer that could curate these signals and come up with a good wiki page that describes them and has links to each of the URLs and whatnot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Crickets chirping.
Yeah, no.
Okay. So basically, ATSC might go into 373, it might not, depending on its stability. But in any case, we have a much better ADC than we used to have. Right?
Yeah. You capture a signal, you run it through GRATSC, and out pops an MPEG stream that you can play in VLC or MPlayer or whatever.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. There's nothing we have to do on this, right? There's no action. I mean, who's working on the ATSC?
Oh, it's a student named Andrew Davis. Jonathan, do you know where he is located?
I thought he was at Purdue, but I'd have to check.
Okay. So he's a student, undergrad, I believe. So he really helped finish up a lot of this work over the winter break.
Nice.
Now he's back at school, so he might be more time limited these days again.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the only action item is what Jonathan suggested, which is trying to find somebody to help us with the curation and the distribution of these example signal sets.
I mean, I guess that kind of. I mean, before we decide that, we need to decide how we're going to distribute signals. I mean, is it enough to have the GNU Radio/data? There was some idea about setting up torrents.
Well, it's not hard to create torrent files, but it doesn't do a whole lot of good. I would expect these to be fairly small number of simultaneous downloads. It's a bigger picture of should we have a set of mirrors for like the GNU Radio DVD and these other large files where they get updated automatically when we upload new data sets and whatnot. Should we open up a wiki page for them, for signals?
I think we definitely should. Yeah, that's part of the curation, is to have a wiki so that you could go straight to the data directory and download them, but it'd be nice if the wiki explained more about what they were, as well as having a link to the data itself.
So regarding the torrents, I have a buddy that recently set up a website that does this, and I was talking with him. He set up the existing captures. It's academictorrents.com, and there's a /collection/GNU Radio RF captures, and it uses. Yeah, I can send a link on that.
Thanks.
It basically uses the HTTP mirror that we have as a backup, and if anyone is seeding it, then it'll use those.
Yeah, nice.
Cool. Yeah, that's great. I don't want to sound like a lawyer here, but is there any issues with publicly available signals? There probably aren't, right? Like if you can
Not if
receive
they're broadcasts signals like. Well, I do see a capture GSM. Maybe that one we need to think about. But a lot of them are just wideband FM broadcast in the U.S. And the NOAA capture, ATSC capture. Those are all publicly, there's no expectation of privacy when your business is to broadcast them. So
yeah, but
those are fine.
Okay, so I'm not quite sure. Like I think I remember something that if you capture TV signals in Germany, then you can't. I'm not quite sure because there's a satellite beam on Europe. So if you're outside of Europe, then there's some different licensing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Different countries. That's going to be a hard one to navigate.
At least in the U.S., there was a recent court ruling saying that if you broadcast it over the air, you can't expect privacy.
Yeah, right.
There was a company that was set up that was basically doing a TiVo-like thing for over the air, and they would store it on their own local servers, and then you could log onto their servers and get access to it directly and pay them instead of having to get cable.
Yeah, the Aereo.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I remember. Yes.
Yeah, that's still, and they're going to appeal the
I'm sure they'll appeal it,
that.
yeah.
So yeah, or the National Association of Broadcasters. So we'll see where that goes, but.
I think this is one of those situations where, if we ask and try to do the right thing, we're going to be far worse off than if we just do this and everyone ignores it.
And also the fact is,
Yep.
we're talking about snippets. These are seconds worth of data. So even if it captures a TV show, it captures 5 or 10 seconds of a TV show or an audio, from an FM broadcast. It's not like we're distributing full programs this way, or full, TV shows or audio programs or something this way.
Right.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to bring it up.
My proposal is we do it until we get a cease and desist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So ATSC is being handled. Next issue is Qt GUI.
Yeah. So you I think put this issue onto our wiki. Yeah, we are. Like, I'm certainly trying to kind of push us to the Qt GUI, but there is a question. The subset of things that Qt GUI and WX GUI does mostly overlaps, and there are a few things that WX does that Qt doesn't, and there's a few things Qt does that WX doesn't. So if we want to start moving towards supporting Qt GUI as the default, we should have, greater than 99% overlap of the capabilities of the WX GUI world. Off the top of my head, I know that a few things that we're missing, like we don't have a number sync for Qt GUI. I think that's like the biggest sync itself that we're missing. And I know actually Johannes Demmel does have that as a PyQt or PyQWT project on his own work that he's already told me that I can go ahead and basically steal and probably put into just a full-on Qt app like the rest of them. So we should be able to close that loop pretty quickly. But there's still probably a few things that we're missing as far as like feature sets that we need to understand for Qt GUI.
Now I'm a little concerned about dependency issues. If we switch to Qt as a default, how comfortable are you with the whole sort of future PyQt and all of that? I know you expressed some concerns or at least frustrations in the past.
Yes, and that is an ongoing concern. The issue for everybody else is that PyQWT is essentially a stalled project. They have said that they are not going to support QWT6, and that they're working on their own, like, kind of fully independent, not like kind of native Python QWT implementation. I have not heard or seen anything since then on that. But as of right now, QWT6 will work with PyQWT 5.2. Possibly just because of the subset of things that we use in PyQWT, that the API still work that way, but that may not last forever. So the kind of the combination of those two projects. So we do have to eventually figure out some way to get around the lack of PyQWT. So that may involve me doing that, just getting that subset of stuff we use from PyQWT and just putting it into GNU Radio, and kind of keeping that up to date ourselves. That's a worst case scenario as far as I can see. But I think the benefits that I'm getting out of using Qt GUI, the look, the feel, the development, everything, I would be willing to jump through a few hoops to keep that going, as opposed to kind of reverting back to the WX stuff.
And it's not like WX isn't giving us any problems. I remember, Sylvain was having troubles getting his phosphor into WX. Is that right, Sylvain? Can you just... also, doesn't seem like people are maintaining them either. So, I mean, currently we have a large overlap, but that also means we have a lot of stuff twice. And I agree that the Qt widgets look much nicer than the WX widgets. What I originally suggested in my issue was that we just change the default for GRC apps to Qt GUI, because I change that always. But I think I might have been a bit rash, because I didn't ask a lot of people if they did that as well. But I mean, that would be interesting to hear from you guys. So when you use GRC graphical things, is it mostly WX or is it Qt?
Well, personally, I pretty much always use the WX stuff, but that's more inertia than anything.
I always use Qt.
I pretty much always use Qt as well.
I'll use Qt as much as I can.
Yep, so that's good. All right. Well, Sylvain has something that he's posting about the alignment being off. I'm not sure what he means by this. Anyways, I'll have to dig into what he's talking about. Yeah. Anyways, I'll hey, if they're bugs can be fixed, right? So we'll work on those if they're brought to our attention. The bigger thing is the dependency issue, and I'm certainly keeping an eye on that.
Well, also, Martin, in your issue, you suggested that we enhance GRC to detect a mismatch between the blocks in use and the mode that's set in the options block.
Yeah, that might be the more elegant solution. I mean, that's also
trying to figure out why Tim is so happy here.
Are you in a car, Tim? Oh, it doesn't matter.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
your signal was pretty terrible there.
Yeah, because one of the errors, I mean, we get that occasionally on the mailing list, that people run flow graphs that have Qt things without switching them to WX, and then they don't understand the error message.
Right.
Okay. Okay, so there's not really an action connected to this, but I think we can generally say away from WX, what's more true is that we're definitely moving towards Qt more and more.
Oh, I get what Sylvain's, sorry, jumping in here. I get what Sylvain's talking about. Yeah, okay, I know he's, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, yes, that's the way it sounds to me too, and we'll work on these issues that we need to get them.
If we do want to deprecate WX, this would be a very long process given the number of flow graphs that use it,
Yes.
such that it would be like 3.8 we would tell people WX is going away, and 3.9, 2 years from now kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. We would definitely hold WX around for quite a while. It would just be that we would be switching the applications that are distributed with GNU Radio over to being Qt native, and then defaults and everything would start coming from the Qt world instead of the WX world.
That sounds sensible. I mean, there's no reason to check out the WX things as long as they're still working. But
Yeah.
I think as soon as we actually have to invest some work into them, that might be a good point to think about actually deprecating them and moving them.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's obviously far in the future.
Yeah. Horizon, Demetrius, I believe, it brings up a point that the Qt stuff doesn't work or he can't get it to work in C++, which is probably true. We haven't really spent much time on that, and it's something that's kind of keeps being in the back of my head that we should get that to work. Of course, the WX stuff won't either. It's mostly written in Python, so you have no hope with that.
Okay. Yeah, I think that wraps it up. Next topic is GSOC. I put that in just as a reminder that we're going to be participating again this year, and I'd like people to start thinking about projects. So that's really important. We need to get a good project list going. And anyone who's interested in mentoring in any form, like if you have any questions, go ahead, ask me or ask them on the mailing list. But there's a couple of things. Yeah, we just need good ideas for projects. So that's pretty much it. I'm just gonna sort of give you an idea about what they could look like. So last year we had various projects. Some of them were very radio specific, like implementing specific codes. Others were improving the GNU Radio Companion, which is very different because it's more about the user experience and the interfaces. But it really doesn't matter. Like any project that is sort of GNU Radio related, and out-of-tree modules are fine as well, and can be sort of fit into 3 months of full-time coding is a good project for GNU Radio's Google Summer of Code. So I'll definitely be I definitely want to mentor again. I haven't thought of a main project yet, but the sooner we start thinking about this, the better. Because not only do we have a nice list of projects that we can show to people, but also students who want to participate, they can start thinking about these things. Because usually students, they don't come with their own perfect project, even though that's valid, but that just rarely happens. So usually students have a look at our list and then they decide they want to do this or that. And if we have that up earlier, obviously that's going to help everyone. Okay. Does anyone, I don't know, is there a good question on GSOC that I could answer?
Do we have a ideas page coming up for this yet, or are we just going to kind of reuse the current ideas page and just keep updating it?
Okay, so I think that I cleared out the old ideas page and then moved. Yeah, right. It says the list is now open. Please suggest stuff. And I have the old ideas. I have the ideas from last year. No, I have some open ideas. Right, that's right. I have some open ideas on the same page. So I'm just going to post the link in IRC. And yeah, you can. And right at the beginning, it doesn't really the idea doesn't have to be really fleshed out. It's more like how about someone works on X, Y, Z, and then we can sort of make them more specific as we go along, and then perhaps remove duplicates, or perhaps there's nobody who wants to mentor it, then we can. But at the beginning, it's just oh, sorry, that's the wrong link. At the beginning, it's just pure brainstorming, and I just left the old list in there to, give an idea about how the project could look like.
Yeah. This just off the top of my head, one thing maybe to keep in mind if trying to propose or think about proposing GSOC projects is we do have our working groups now, the GNU Radio working groups, and each of those 5 has pretty strong lists of challenges itself, some of which could become GSOC projects, I think, fairly easily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so perhaps the working group leaders could could think about what kind of projects could be, split off and made into a specific project. That's a good point. So there's a question on IRC here about the projects that were projects from last year. So have the GRC improvements been rolled in? I don't think so.
They have not, and so yeah, we'll have to talk to Sebastian about the state of that and what needs to happen to get that done.
Yeah, but the two students who worked on the turbo codes, they have released their code as an out-of-tree module that's available. Who else did we have? Obviously, Jonathan has posted tons of stuff. I mean, the wiki page alone that he wrote is already really useful. I'm not quite sure if there's actual code that went into GNU Radio or some other. Phil can probably say something about that. But
well, just I think I can speak on that.
Okay.
From the embedded side, just the wiki page itself, how that led to a bunch of us getting together and helping Philip finish off his kind of OE development manifest. Some subtle changes to the development or the build structure of GNU Radio, the ARM tool chains that we put into it. Those are all things that were sparked and aided by that project. So yeah, there's no code probably directly from it, but a serious amount of help to the community of using GNU Radio on the ARM, which is incredibly valuable.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm becoming more and more interested and invested in the FEC, basically building out grFEC, hoping eventually to wrap back the LDPC work done in GSOC as part of our new FEC module. Then there's the GRC stuff that again is a thing to work with Sebastian on to get that into it. And then we have to figure out the 8.2.11 work, which again might just be a out-of-tree module that people can use.
Yeah, I think so too. As like the GRC stuff, I know that Sebastian has tons of commits in the pipeline, and that's just probably one of them in a huge list of stuff. Because I remember like he wanted to. I think there was some modifications that were necessary. So like depending on how busy he is, that might take some time. Okay. So yeah, and if you'd like to mentor but don't have a good idea for a project, that's also fine. Like we'll find something for you, no worries. In the end, we'll probably have. I mean, we'll most likely have more mentors than we have projects. That's just how it works. So if you sign up and then you don't get a project assigned, sorry about that, but I hope that won't discourage anyone. Okay, that's GSOC. So the only other thing I have on the agenda is the working group status update. I don't think we're going to have a very long status update today. So Sebastian excused himself, but he also said that nothing much happened due to the holidays, and I guess that's true for most groups.
Yeah, I think so.
And Nathan, you already mentioned that you didn't have much to say this time.
Yeah,
same goes for me.
And Tom pretty much covered it earlier anyway.
Right.
Yeah, our big thing with Volk is this ARM issue that we're trying to solve. So yeah, that's definitely our main focus right now is to get that solid and stable. And but hey, Nathan, we can mention you did issue a pull request on some AVX improvements. So that's nice.
Yeah, Tom, I'll be working the pull request queue today. We've got like 4 now, so
excellent.
That should all get taken care of today.
Great. The Jack one, just sorry, this is completely off topic and just for Jonathan and I, but the Jack pull request, I think I verified it last weekend. Seems to work great. You can feel free to do that, or wait till I get home to finish off what I was using it for, and then I could take care of it. So whichever you prefer.
If you've already verified it, I'll just take care of it.
Sure. Okay.
Phil is complaining in chat. I'm not quite sure why. Perhaps he wanted to say something about the working group request he put out on the mailing list earlier. But unless he gives us more information.
Oh yes, yeah. He just wants he wants to schedule a new call on the embedded working group, and he's trying to get feedback for people interested in when they might be available, so that he can actually schedule a call with maximum efficiency. So yes, that's definitely bringing back up because I would really like to see that
Yeah.
call happen. Keep that project going.
So if you're interested in embedded work with GNU Radio, then email Phil. Okay, so Phil says he's been super busy. Sorry, Phil. Okay. Yeah.
Just make sure all of Phil's stuff goes into the notes at the end, and that will cover it. But
Yeah.
for those listening to the call and not on IRC, Phil is just talking about all that he's been doing a bunch of work on the embedded manifest that he's been working on. So that's great to hear.
Okay, that covers it. Anything else? Did we forget anything?
Is there anything on the coprocessor working group?
That's a good question. I haven't been in contact with Justin. Has anyone else?
I will be shortly. I know he's still thinking about this stuff because he's been talking to other friends of mine on it. So I do need to get in touch with him and see where that stuff is. Definitely a huge interest. I actually just had a meeting with a guy from Maryland yesterday, University of Maryland yesterday. He's the guy that did the GRGPU.
Yeah,
which is a seems like a fantastic model for this coprocessor offload, especially if it's a coprocessor on a separate or on a bus and not like tied to the processor. So he's been working on that model a lot, and we're kind of pushing him for more on that. So nothing like concrete that's come out of this yet. It's a big problem, so we're just kind of iterating on it and trying to keep people giving us information as much as possible. So there's some progress, but nothing, no huge wins to claim right now on it.
Yeah. Were some people working on the buffering aspect, like maybe Corrigan and Moritz?
Yeah, Jonathan?
We had been, but there hasn't been any progress on that.
Okay.
Well, I sort of looked into the kernel part, and I might need to sit down with Jonathan at one point. That didn't work.
Okay. I guess we have a call.
I have one little announcement.
Okay.
Moritz, your microphone works fine.
Yeah, we could hear you. There's a company called Loctronics which just released a new piece of hardware called the Advanced Software Radio 2300. I'll push a link in so you can see it on the Freenode. So it's a very small device. It's a little bit on the expensive side, in my opinion, but on the other hand, it's not outrageous either. I'm working on the open source code version of it, so working on integration with UHD mainly, so that we can use that via GRUHD. It's an interesting product. A lot of stuff going on. We got a lot of work to do in the next couple of months to get it all the other cool features of it up to speed. So it has full GPS and multiple different ways of figuring out where you are, and it's a matter of getting those data streams inside the computer so we can actually access them.
So there was somebody from Loctronics that presented at the GRCon last year.
Yep.
How much of a delta is what they've just released from what they talked about last year?
There's still quite a bit of delta. Right now it streams data like a standard SDR device with a piece of hardware. So we can get GPS data, but it's just data coming in. It's a signal. Right now there's actually none of the sensor data is coming in at this point in time. We're still working on that interface.
Is the hardware? If I go back and look at the GRCon presentation, is the hardware he just released that, or is it something new?
No, it's basically that. It's about the size of a deck of cards, little blue box, lots of flashing lights. It's a very small device. And so I'm pretty sure that's the same thing that he demoed, or at least he talked about while he was there. He didn't demo it. He didn't have it working yet.
Right.
Okay.
There you go.
Any more announcements? Okay, cool. So the next call will be, as usual, the third Thursday of February, which is the
20th, I believe.
20.
The third is
yeah,
the
right.
15th. Oh, the third. Yes, the 20th.
Yeah.
Awesome. I will not be able to make that.
Mm.
I always
Actually, I
seem to be
probably won't
troubling
either.
on the third Thursday for whatever reason.
Okay.
Oh, we'll figure it out when we get closer.
Yeah,
to
right.
there but at this point, we'll still plan to have it at the normal time just to keep consistency.
Yeah, right. Okay, cool. See you guys in a month. Bye-bye.
Great. Thanks.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.